Hey everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today what we're talking about is Malabar spinach. Now Malabar spinach is a great leafy green, and it prefers hot humid environments such as North Florida. Alright, it is a perennial in certain areas if you don't get into a freeze, but if it gets to where it'll freeze, then it will die back. So I've grown it for the last couple of years. And I believe I got it from a cutting way back when, and I'll show you a picture of what it looks like, what it looked like back last summer, and I want to show you how it looks now and then how I'm going about making some more. Okay, so I wanted to show you this before I start cutting back at this. Alright, so basically this is what's left of my Malabar spinach. It did vine out. Alright, but if you look down in here, you'll see there's at least one stalk that is already starting to grow back. And we're going to cut this out a little bit, and there's another leaf right over there. So let's get this all cut out. Okay, like I said, this has frozen back this winter. So we're going to try and cut some of this out. I'm going to try and save the plants that I do have. Just cut it out a little bit at a time. I've got two good stalks, and I think that if I leave those there, then we should have a little head start this year on growing more spinach. Now, Malabar spinach is a very good spinach substitute. It grows great here in the summer, one of my favorite summertime spinaches. It will vine usually when it starts to get cooler. I'm going to cut that one off. Let's see if it comes back. And when it vines, it will get a little more bitter, and the vine will start to produce seeds. It makes little flowers. Now these are getting a little moldy, so I did not collect the seeds from these. But if you look right here, you'll see that these little nodules here are actually the seeds. They start off as little flower and then develop into seeds. So we'll toss what's left of these back in the top here. And we'll see if I get more. And then I'll come back and I'm going to put some more compost in this bucket once I get some. You know, because anytime you've got a potted plant, which is essentially what this is, you know, you can use the nutrients up pretty quick inside of that pot. Now this is just a regular 5-gallon Lowe's bucket. Now last year I had planted this all over the back of the in the garden. I planted it in a lot of different places, and this one and another bucket that I have over behind my trees were really the ones that grew the best. This one here was the best by far. Alright, so I'm going to take all this, I'll compost all of this, but one of the things I do let it do is I do let this just sit until it kind of dries out. And you'll see I got some mold on it. That's okay. That's just part of nature. Things that die back, you know, get molded up, and then the fungus just tears it up and turns it back into soil. And all of this will go in the compost pile. So you can see it's already starting to sprout out. Alright, right here, and then right there, and then there seems to be some life left in this vine. I'm not going to pull that out, but I do have leaves there, here, and there. So I'll let this grow, and then like I said, once they get up a little bit higher, I'll go ahead and fill it in with a little more compost, and that will hopefully make these seeds want to grow, and then we'll see if we get a couple of more vines growing up in here. But either way, that's a good start. So one of the things that had happened is this did vine up, and I had basically a kick gate that was up above here on my pool enclosure. And basically what I did with that is I allowed it to climb up the vine, or the vine to climb up to there, and then I wrapped it around the gate, and then from that I managed to get all of these seeds. Now last year I had done the same thing. Basically I just potted them back in to the pot that it was in, and it seemed like just about every seed grew. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plant some of these in trays and pots and try and get some more Malabar spinach to grow. Alright, so I've gotten a few of these trays set up where I've got my patented, just kidding, not quite patented yet, but I've got my regular starting soil, seed starting soil, which is half compost, half garden soil that I take from my garden, and it's sifted through a 1/4 inch hardware cloth so that, you know, all the big chunks are out for the most part, and you do get a few pieces that will slide through the screen. And then that's what I'm going to plant in today. So you notice I've already pre-wet most of this, all right, and that's to make it kind of shrink down. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to go ahead and plant 3 seeds or more in each of these cells. All right. But because I watered it, I'm going to kind of stir up that top layer real quick. Now the goal here is that I'm going to have enough for my kids to be able to take each one of my kids to take one of these trays. Maybe I'll do 5. How about that? So one, you know, each of my kids can take one of these trays of 4, and I'll have plenty extra to plant around my garden in the food forest area and all that. I did plant it in several different places last year, and it wouldn't grow. And I'm not sure if I just didn't have enough moisture on it, because I tend to pay more attention, sadly, to the stuff that's inside my screened enclosure and make sure it stays, I guess, wetter than I did with the stuff outside. Oops, do that one. Now some people tell you, or at least I read online, that Malabar spinach, you need to score the seeds. Now last year I really had not intended to regrow it, but I had all these seeds, and just for fun I knocked all the seeds off down into the pot where I had grown the spinach, and just threw some dirt on top and let it go. I wasn't really that concerned about it. I was thinking, well, if something grows, great. If not, I'm not too worried about it. And I mean, I'm gonna tell you, like, it seems like every one of them seeds grew. I didn't score them, I didn't mark them, I didn't nick them. But if you look at these seeds, they do have kind of a crusty outer layer. Okay, like it's kind of black and all that. So, I mean, I can understand why people might think you need to do that. And had I read up on it before I stuck the seeds in the ground, I might have done it myself. But really did not seem to be an issue for me at all. And like I said, it seems like every one of them grew just fine. So I don't know that that's actually a necessity. But if, you know, it's always better safe than sorry. So if you want to nick them, you can take a piece of sandpaper or maybe a small knife and just cut the little shell coating off, or, you know, just cut a hole into it basically. I'm not going to do that because I have confidence, all right? And I got experience. I mean, one of the things I can't tell you enough, that one of the beauties of gardening is as you go along, you learn things. And some of it you learn by accident, some of it you learn on purpose. You know, maybe you do some experiments and such. And I know for a fact that last year these grew just fine without me having to nick the coatings off of these seeds. So, and you know, if you think about it, I mean, when it comes to nature, nature doesn't have something going around taking the coatings off of these seeds. Now they might have gotten eaten and passed through, you know, the digestive tract of various animals. So I suppose that might remove some of that coating. So it's not unrealistic to say that maybe that is a necessity. But I mean, I'm going with my experience, and my experience says that you don't need to do that. We'll find out if I manage to grow most of these up and have an issue. If I do have an issue, then I'll know better next time. So now you can also just put these into pots, and then I'm talking like a regular sized pot that you want to keep the plant in, and you won't have to do the transplant process. But I want to try and put some of these out, like I said, in different places in my garden. In fact, whatever seeds I do have left over, I will probably stick them in a few spots throughout the garden just to see what happens. Because this is one of the best summertime greens to grow here in my garden. I mean, it grew reliably, it grew very well. Now, Malabar spinach is a little bit different. It can be a little bit more slimy than regular spinach. It's kind of like okra, has that little bit of slime to it. So if you don't mind okra, you probably will not mind Malabar spinach. As long as, well, let me say, what we did with ours a lot was it was our chosen greens for burgers. Really nice in a burger. And then we also would mix it into salads. You know, as it became available. And I'm going to go around, I'll show you all of the different summertime, or basically brown season, as I call it, because we have that brown season in the late summer, early fall, where nothing really wants to grow because it just gets so hot and humid. But that's the kind of stuff that Malabar spinach just loves. So I will tell you that you're going to want to plant this someplace where it gets a decent amount of moisture. And it is from Malabar, I guess. But it's from a very moist, a very tropical environment. And that's why, you know, it dies when it freezes off, is because they don't usually get freezes down there. But it will grow better if you keep it with plenty of moisture. So I highly recommend, you know, keeping it wet as you go through the spring and on into summer. Now, one of the things that I do anytime I'm planting seeds is I always plant extras. Alright, so if you put one seed in each cell of a tray, then basically you're banking on that one seed germinating. And particularly seeds that you've grown yourself, they may or may not actually germinate like you expect them to. So I highly recommend anytime you're planting seeds, put extra seeds. I can always cut back any extra growth or any extra plants without an issue. Alright, but what you don't want to do is find out that only half of your seeds germinated, and where you thought you were going to get 15-20 plants, you only got 1 or 2. Alright, that's my take on it. You know, of course, you do you. And then another thing when it comes to planting seeds, just some basic seeds basic seeds. Some basic thoughts on how to plant seeds. The size of the seed oftentimes determines the strength of the plant. This is a pretty good sized seed, alright, and so I will normally try and set it to where you've got between a ½ inch and 1 inch of depth of soil over the top of the seed. Alright, now the rule of thumb, now, and don't get me wrong, there are very specific planting depths that a lot of seed packages will tell you to plant at, and I would recommend following that, because I would assume they've got some smart people that have made those decisions. But when you don't have that information, like I did not have this information readily available to me, because like I said, I got my first plant from a cutting. But when you don't have that information available to you, my recommendation is, you know, the rule of thumb, which says that you want to go 3 times the length of the seed into the dirt. Alright? So basically 3 times the length of these seeds makes it about ½ inch or so. But the other thing is too, if you know your plants and you know it's a really solid, sturdy vine like Malabar spinach is, then you can perhaps go a little bit deeper and not feel too bad about it. Particularly if you have nice loose soil, which is what this soil is here. If you got more clay in your soil, you might want to go a little more shallow, because the newly grown seeds or seedlings might have difficulty pushing up through that soil. And that's just one of them experience things. Alright, so like I said, let me get these the rest of these planted, and we'll get back to showing where I'm going to plant some more here in the garden by seed. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do with all of this is to just go ahead and take a few seeds, and I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them around. I'm just going to toss them in a few spots in my butterfly garden, and as the rains hit, which is supposed to rain tomorrow, it should wash them down into the wood chips, and hopefully I'll get a few of these to grow there as well. And we'll see. Hopefully I don't pull them as weeds, but I usually don't spend a lot of time weeding in my food forest area, so we'll kind of see how that goes. So I'm going to just kind of sprinkle them around as I've done a lot of other seeds, and see how many come up and germinate. So that's what I got going on today. I'm planting Malabar spinach. I highly recommend Malabar spinach as a great summer green. It's one of the greens that I get that will stick around through the summertime heat, continue to produce greens for you to be able to eat in salads and cook and prepare however you'd like to. Alright, so thanks once again for stopping by. Do me a favor, give me a like and a subscribe. Let me know what you think. Most importantly, grow some, and then plan it out. Start thinking about, what am I going to have growing this season, that season, and the next. Alright, thanks again. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Y'all take care and come back and see me.